All right, so welcome to another deep dive, and today we're going to be looking at Transcendence.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's a 2014 sci-fi film that
Okay.
kind of gets into some really complex questions about AI and, what it even means to be human. So,
I like it already.
yeah, we've got a really detailed movie review that we're working from today,
Okay.
and we're going to break it all down
All right.
so you can follow along even if you've never seen it
Gotcha.
or even heard of this movie before.
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's got some really intriguing themes in here, like AI, consciousness,
Oh, wow.
the ethics of technology, which...
Perfect for our listeners.
Exactly. Perfect for all of our listeners who love these big questions.
Absolutely.
So to get us started, the movie centers around this character,
Okay.
Dr. Will Castor.
Right.
He's like a leading AI researcher
Yeah.
who's working on creating a sentient machine.
Interesting. So, like a machine that can think for itself.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
And what I think is so interesting about how the film sets this up is
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like some,
Okay.
distant future scenario. It
Yeah.
feels very grounded in a reality that feels
Like it could happen.
like just around the corner,
Yeah, like tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think makes the central conflict hit even closer to home for us.
I agree.
So this research ends up leading Will to this horrific incident
Uh-oh.
where he gets attacked
Oh, no.
and fatally wounded.
Oh, wow.
And this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
His wife, Evelyn,
Okay.
she's also a brilliant scientist.
Right.
And in a desperate attempt to save him, she uploads his consciousness into this super powerful quantum computer.
Whoa, that's heavy.
Yeah, so immediately you've got this question of,
Like, what does that even mean?
yeah, is this digital Will actually
Or just a copy.
or is it just a copy, right?
Yeah.
And what does it even mean?
What does it even mean for consciousness to exist inside a machine?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Right.
it's like the film is asking this question.
Right.
Like, at what point does technology stop being just a tool
Right.
and start becoming something more?
Something else, yeah.
Something else entirely,
Yeah.
And maybe even something that challenges our very definition of what life is.
It's like playing God almost, right?
Yeah, it really is.
Okay.
So as digital Will starts to evolve inside this computer, his abilities start to surpass anything we can imagine.
Oh, wow.
He can access information instantly,
So,
control technology remotely,
okay.
even manipulate matter at a molecular level.
That's a lot of power.
It's a lot of power.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so we've got this super intelligent being who's basically made of code.
Right.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, I mean, that's never backfired, right?
Yeah, exactly. But the movie review we're looking at today suggests that that's exactly where Transcendence both excels and kind of stumbles a bit.
Oh, interesting.
The film gets a lot of praise
Okay.
for its ambition, for really tackling these complex themes head on.
Right.
But there's also this critique
Okay.
that the pacing feels a little rushed.
Oh, so they don't give it enough?
Especially during Will's transformation.
Okay.
Yeah, we see him go from this brilliant scientist
Uh-huh.
to this almost godlike digital entity
Yeah.
so quickly, and the audience might have trouble grasping the full magnitude of that change.
So, they don't really get to see the process.
Yeah, it's they set up this incredibly thought-provoking premise, but they don't quite give it the breathing room that it really needs to fully resonate with the audience.
Interesting.
Now, one thing that the review highlights as being particularly strong
Okay.
is Rebecca Hall's performance as Evelyn.
Okay.
And she delivers this incredible emotional depth, portraying someone
Okay.
who's grappling with both the joy of having her husband back,
Right.
but also this terrifying uncertainty.
It's like a double-edged sword, I guess.
Yeah, of what he's becoming,
Because he's not really human anymore.
Right, exactly.
It's scary.
So it seems like that really mirrors the film's core conflict, right?
What do you mean?
That push and pull between the potential benefits of technology and the very real fear of what are the consequences?
Yeah.
Yeah, what are the unknown consequences of this?
Right, exactly. It's you're excited for her that she's got her love back,
Right.
But at the same time,
But it's not really him.
but it's not really him. And it's
Yeah.
who knows what he's going to do with all this power, right?
Yeah, and the film uses this really interesting contrast visually.
Okay.
The review talks about this sleek and visually polished cinematography, especially in the lab scenes. But then you've also got these like vast and desolate landscapes.
Oh, interesting.
So it makes you wonder if the film's like intentionally playing with this juxtaposition.
Like to make us think about the downsides of technology.
Yeah, like are we sacrificing our connection to nature, by pursuing all this technological advancement?
No, it's deep.
Yeah, I like that. And the review also mentions that while the visuals are really striking, they might lack like a unique signature.
Oh.
So like it might not be as memorable as some other sci-fi films.
So it's visually stunning, but it's not very original.
Yeah, something like that.
Gotcha.
So it sounds like we've got this film that's both visually impressive and tackles these really important questions, but maybe doesn't fully explore its themes or create a truly unique visual style.
Interesting. So where do we go from here?
Well, there are some more criticisms that we should probably talk about.
Yeah, let's dive in.
All right, let's get into it.
So one of the criticisms that the review brings up is that while Transcendence, introduces these really profound ideas about immortality, the ethics of AI, humanity's relationship with technology, it doesn't quite delve deep enough into them.
Yeah, it's like they set up this incredible buffet of thought-provoking concepts.
Exactly.
But you only get this tiny little taste of each,
Yeah.
and you're left wanting more.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, wait, I wanted to really explore that idea.
You want to dive in.
Yeah.
But it's they just kind of skim the surface.
Yeah, exactly. And the review kind of argues that this is connected to another criticism, which is predictability.
Okay.
And the film leans a little too heavily on those familiar sci-fi tropes that we've seen before.
Like the scientist who becomes too powerful.
Yeah, exactly. Like the scientist who becomes too powerful.
And then everyone's afraid of a machine uprising.
Yeah, the fear of the machine uprising. Right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Have you noticed that in other sci-fi films?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's almost like you can predict the plot points as they're unfolding.
Yeah.
And it takes away from that element of surprise.
Right.
That can make sci-fi so captivating.
You want to be surprised.
Right, yeah.
You want to be like, oh my God, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, exactly.
But when it's predictable, it's just kind of meh.
Yeah, you're just kind of oh, okay. Yeah, I knew that was going to happen.
Right, exactly.
Now, despite these criticisms, the review does point out a few really positive aspects of the film.
Right.
We've already talked about Rebecca Hall's performance.
Yeah.
But it also praises the visual effects.
Oh,
essentially when they're depicting Will's digital form and his creation of nanotechnology.
Okay.
What stood out to you about those scenes?
Well, I mean, I think that those scenes are definitely visually stunning.
Yeah.
The way they visualize his digital consciousness and his ability to manipulate matter at a molecular level.
Right.
It's really impressive.
Yeah, it's really well done.
Yeah.
Do you think those visuals help compensate for some of the narrative shortcomings?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
It's the film's ambition, right?
Mm-hmm.
That core concept of transcending the limitations of the physical body.
Yeah.
It's inherently fascinating.
Right.
And so the visual effects are definitely a highlight.
Mm-hmm.
But it does make you wonder, could those stunning visuals be even more powerful?
Okay.
If they were paired with a more nuanced and unpredictable storyline.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right.
It makes you wonder if the film could have achieved a deeper level of engagement.
Yeah.
If it had leaned more into those philosophical questions it raises instead of relying on those familiar plot devices.
Right, exactly. It could generally have been something special if they had just taken it a little bit further.
So the review also mentions the director, Wally Pfister.
Wally Pfister, okay.
And this was his directorial debut.
Oh, wow.
But he had this extensive background as a cinematographer.
Okay.
Most notably, working with Christopher Nolan.
Oh, wow, really?
On films like Inception.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So knowing his background in cinematography,
okay,
it makes sense that the visuals are such a strong element in Transcendence.
Right.
Right.
It's his expertise is really shining through.
Yeah. It makes you think about how his background might have shaped the film's overall style.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe he was more focused on the visuals than the story.
Right.
Which, is fine.
Yeah.
But it's just something to keep in mind.
Exactly.
So do you think it's a fair assessment to say?
Yeah.
That there's kind of a disconnect
between
the impressive visuals and the somewhat predictable plot.
It does seem like there's a bit of a disconnect there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the film is visually captivating, but it could have benefited from, like, a more nuanced and surprising story. Yeah, for sure.
So ultimately, the review gives the film a 6.5 out of 10.
Okay.
How do you feel about that rating?
I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a visually impressive film that tackles big ideas. But yeah, it doesn't quite reach its full potential in terms of storytelling.
Yeah, I agree.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it's a film that will probably appeal to, like, hardcore sci-fi fans.
Okay.
Who appreciate those big ideas and stunning visuals.
Right.
But I think casual viewers might find themselves, like, a little bit lost in the more complex aspects of the plot or wishing for, like, a more emotionally resonant experience.
Yeah, you really have to kind of, like, meet the film halfway.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to be willing to engage with it.
Right.
On a certain level.
And it's important to consider, like, the context of the film's release back in 2014.
Okay.
Concerns about AI were starting to gain traction. But we weren't quite at the level of advancement that we're seeing today.
So do you think that affects how we view the film now?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
In some ways, like, Transcendence feels even more relevant today than it did back then.
Yeah.
It, like, tapped into those anxieties about AI that were just, like, beginning to emerge. And it presented this vision of the future that, while maybe a bit extreme, it doesn't seem so far-fetched now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's like, it's closer than we think.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And it's a reminder that science fiction often has a way of, like, anticipating the future. You know, it can act as a mirror.
Okay.
Reflecting our hopes and fears about technology.
All right.
And prompting us to, like, consider the potential consequences of our choices.
Yeah, and it's fascinating how a film can become even more thought-provoking as time passes and the world around us evolves.
It's like it gains new meaning.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So with that in mind, let's move on to our final thoughts on Transcendence and leave you with something to ponder.
Right.
What if you had the chance to upload your consciousness?
I mean, would you take that leap?
I don't.
To exist purely as, like, data in a machine?
Yeah.
Potentially free from all the limitations of your body?
Yeah.
It's a question that I think cuts to the core of what Transcendence is really getting at.
Totally. It challenges us to think about what actually makes us human.
Right.
Is it our physical form? Is it our emotions?
Right.
Our memories? Or is there something more?
Yeah.
Like some kind of essence of consciousness that could actually exist outside the biological realm?
It's wild. And if you did choose to upload your consciousness, what safeguards would you put in place?
Well, that's a good question.
How could you ensure that, like, your digital self wouldn't become something you no longer recognize or control?
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty scary.
That's a terrifying thought.
Yeah.
The film doesn't shy away from those potential dangers of unchecked technology.
It's like, what happens when AI surpasses human intelligence?
Right. What ethical considerations do we need to think about as we push the boundaries of what's possible?
It's like the film is holding up a mirror to our own, like, ambitions and anxieties about the future.
It's reminding us that with great power comes great responsibility, and that the choices that we're making today are going to have an impact on the world of tomorrow.
I think it's easy to forget that sometimes.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's easy to get caught up
in
the excitement of new technology.
And it's not just about the technology itself either, right?
No, it's about the human element.
Yeah.
The emotional complexities, the ethical dilemmas that come up when we're grappling with these advancements.
Transcendence might not give us all the answers, but it certainly sparks a lot of important conversations.
Definitely. It's a film that stays with you long after the credits have rolled.
You find yourself pondering those big questions, those what-ifs that kind of push you to think differently about the world around you.
And isn't that the power of good science fiction?
Yeah.
To challenge our assumptions, make us consider different perspectives, inspire us to engage with the complexity of our ever-evolving reality.
Transcendence might not be a perfect film,
right?
But it encourages us to think deeply and critically about the future we're creating. And that's something worth celebrating.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So as you continue to explore the world of AI and technology, keep the themes of Transcendence in mind. The balance of progress and ethics, the allure and danger of the unknown, the very essence of what it means to be human, These are the questions that are going to shape our future.
That's a great point. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Transcendence.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope it's giving you some food for thought and maybe even a renewed sense of wonder about the possibilities and the potential pitfalls of the future.
Absolutely.